the conversation today that we'll have with Rohan Bopanna, whose own tennis academy is housed within this complex. In other words, if we were to say that it just seemed fitting to have this conversation with Rohan by beginning the session with the presser group and also brief us of what awaits us. Thank you so much. So I would first like to request upon stage Ramarao Suresh, founder of Insist Consulting, a long-standing ILC member, a long associate of Rohan Bopanna, and also a regular on the senior tennis circuit. Ramarao sir, please may I request you on stage. And now may I please call on stage the man we are all here to hear from, 26 ATP doubles titles. I think one of the most remarkable stories of building of a deliberate career in Indian sports. Rohan sir, may I please request on your stage. I would also like to welcome Supriya, wife of Rohan's and also a psychologist who has graciously agreed to be present here among us today. Thank you, Supriya, for joining us.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome, Rohan.
Thank you, sir. Good evening.
Couldn't have asked for a better evening. Nice campus and a great champion amidst us and his spouse. It's a great recipe for a lot of interactions, but a lot of fun. We are not going to make this serious. We're going to, get some real fun and real insights into what Rohan has achieved. What he's done is in front of us, it's staring in front of us, but what's gone behind, we will quiz him. Rohan, thank you for coming here. Yeah? As Anika said, world number one at age of 43 years, 326 days. And so many records and so many battles that he has played more than 60, 70, 80 countries. I don't know. And so many things he has done. But what puzzles me still, having known him for a long time, is whether he's a greater human being or a greater tennis player. I still am puzzled. What is the predominant, of course both, but what is predominant facet of this man is still puzzling, and you all join me in the list of those who will get puzzled after today. That's how he is, I can describe. And now the third dimension gets added, which is the academy. Right? So that's where we are. I wouldn't take much more time. I would want the person to take over. Rohan, you have a choice. Like any tennis match, you have a toss. You select whether to serve or the side. Now you have a choice. Whether you want to get a small 5-minute quiz to get you started because you're retired and you want to get started, or you want to take questions about your career and your life and your positive moments and negative moments and so on. It's up to you.
First of all, good evening to you all, and thank you for having me in the India Leadership Council. And Mr. Suresh sir, thank you for being associated with you for such a long period of time, and mainly being a tennis lover, the biggest thing. And going to your first question, I'd love to take some questions from everyone. I think that's the best way to start. You got to go out there and feel that pressure right up. So I'm happy to do that.
Yeah, we'll play a quick tie break for tennis, and Anika will keep a score on that. If the audience wins 1 point and Rohan wins 1 point, with some questions are directed to Rohan, will be slightly at a higher level, but all questions are related to him. Is that right? So the question to audience, right? When Rohan became world number one in Australia, he also broke few other records. Can anyone tell you one more record? He was the oldest world number one in men's doubles. Can anyone tell one more record or two more records associated with that? Even Rohan may not know it the way I have analyzed. I'm a big Rohan. I'm two Roro fans. Roger Federer, you see RF all the time, and Rohan Bopanna.
Absolutely correct.
So anybody else can say this?
Another picture between wherein you and Rohan were in a photo, he said he was the oldest number one and then he was the world's longest number one. Right?
They were both oldest at the same time.
One more record. One more record. No, he had won mixed doubles before, but on that day he was.
It's actually a pretty obvious one. If you're going with the question, it was actually the oldest Grand Slam winner. Men's doubles Grand Slam winner. Yeah.
Oldest Grand Slam winner. Yeah. And Rohan, you were the only doubles world number one who became world number one without having won a men's Grand Slam. At that time.
That's
you
correct.
won the Grand Slam after a few days, but when you became world number one, you were the only player in the world who became world number one in men's doubles without having won a men's doubles Grand Slam.
You're absolutely right, sir, but I'll give you an insight in that. The rankings come out only after the Grand Slam.
That I know.
Yes, yeah. So officially, I was still
On that day.
first time world number one after winning a Grand Slam officially. Unofficially, yes, I did become world number one before the Slam win.
So maybe tie break, one audience, if I'm part of the audience, so 1-0. He's on the spot.
Did you say 1-0 to the audience?
One audience, you 0.
Okay.
No.
That's a
Because I said the answer.
tough
one
referee
Rohan,
here,
One
tough
Rohan, one Rohan, 0 audience. One more quick question. Yeah, that's a quick question. Yeah. When he became world number one big single star, global big name, tweeted, "Amazing, wonderful achievement, Rohan." Who was that? Immediately. Rohan, amazing, wonderful achievement. You got both. Who's the third? Nadal. Nadal, right? No? He said that?
He was
Rohan,
actually.
you did it in your way and at your time. Who said that?
He actually sent me personally a message, and he was, I think, one of the most humble superstars out there. And no matter where you saw him, he would always come say hello to you. Of course, same as Roger or Novak. It's funny. Of course, we'll all look at them as superstars, but everybody shares the locker room. And when they know when you're there for 15, 20 years, you're not come there by just a one-off tournament. You have been there, done the work, put in the success to be in that locker room and share that locker room with them. So I think I would say about 90% of the players playing today came after me. So, so when they walk in the locker room, they're also feeling overwhelmed of, familiar faces. And if you're, spent a long career out there, there's a mutual respect. And that's a wonderful thing about tennis. They don't really differentiate in terms of, where you sit or, when you enter the locker room. Everything is absolutely equal in that space.
Before we let Rohan really go on for a longer time, a few more questions from my side just to warm up the audience. Is that okay? Yeah. We all know Novak, you're Novak fan, Roger, I'm Roger fan, Nadal, of all three. Other than they having got more than 20 Grand Slams in men's singles, there's something else in common. It's a very subtle thing. What else is that? There's something else in common with all the three greats who between them have got some close to 80 Grand Slams. But there's something else very, very appreciative of them and very common. Can anyone get that? And Rohan will get it. But can anyone get it? It's a very small thing. But I tested him 3 days back. I met him for understanding where his titration level is. So that's how I formed the question. Anyone? You?
Most of the Grand Slam they won after 30 years.
Very close, no? No, they all won. Nadal and Federer won much earlier.
Nadal definitely not.
16.
I mean, it was 17, I think, when he won the Grand Slam. Yeah.
17. Yeah. I'll tell you, very important. All of them had Rohan Bopanna as hitting partner at some stage in their career. Nothing else is common between them. They all called it. Rohan, I want you to talk about how it happens. Did Roger calls you, or how does it happen?
I think as when you go deep in the tournament, players also kind of drop out. They're all finished the Grand Slam, they're going home, figuring out what the next tournament is going to be. So there has been few tournaments which I was fortunate enough also to go deep in the Grand Slams, and everybody needs a player to warm up. So you built a great friendship with them along these years, and they just reach out. The coach comes out and says, "Can you warm them up before their match the following day?" And yeah, it's very easy to do, and especially if you don't have a match that day, that's extremely comfortable, and it's a great thing, warming up with them. You get to spend a little more time, picking their brains about tennis and a lot of other things, and which is great.
Fantastic. Few more things, okay? You promised. I'm just thinking as I talk. I'm not consulting a paper. There's one very interesting event which happened in tennis. a singles men's, follow the English one, a singles men's Grand Slam winner won the first of the series of Grand Slams, having lost to Rohan Bopanna in the doubles in the previous tournament. Big name, he lost to Rohan Bopanna and his partner in the tournament, and he went on from the tournament to win the Grand Slam. Who's that? Medvedev is only one Grand Slam, but not him. I said one of the series of Grand Slams. He won, in fact, he won the first of the series of the Grand Slams.
I know that Roger played you
He played
Singles.
It doesn't happen,
Yes.
but not at the Olympics.
Doubles?
Nation here.
Yes. Yeah. No, I did play him in doubles as well in Indian Worlds. Yeah.
played doubles. But here, in this case, Rohan Bopanna and his partner defeated this team in the doubles, which had that men's singles player. And after that tournament, he went on to win the Grand Slam. The next tournament. And maybe in between, when he was playing the tournament, which he lost to Rohan, he was also using Rohan for a hitting partner. So there's some ingredient there as well. That part I'm slightly unaware, but I'm just putting some spin here. Rohan, you know who it is? I want one question where you're not until then.
I think it's Novak. Novak or Stan.
Stan. Stan and got defeated in Chennai. Rohan and Qureshi, they lost in first round. Right? And then he went on to be the Grand Slam winner. Yeah, so that's wonderful. Rohan is doing well. So obviously he's not retired. So he's fully geared up. Last few things. Rohan, for you. What's one thing common between the current players like Darderi, you follow him? Luciano Darderi?
Yes, I do. Yeah.
Arthur Fils, yeah, and one other European. I'll just take Casper Ruud. What's common between them?
Their racket sponsor is the same. Clothing
Very
sponsor. I
Very
mean,
close. Close, but you're thinking correct. Too close.
apart from them all being double-handed, it's a
There's
tough
so
one.
many other double-handed.
That's a tough one. Yeah.
Very subtle. Very. Thoda. Get the
Darderi, Arthur Fils, and Casper Ruud.
If I add one more name in that, you'll get the answer.
They all won a title this year.
Darderi didn't.
No.
You give up?
I give up there on that one.
They're all coached by the dads.
Yeah, amazing. You mean
If I add Zverev, if I add Shelton, Tsitsipas will become obvious. So I took away the big names. And last, the coached by dads from the very beginning and even till now. And what's the common between Andy Murray and Shapovalov?
coached by the mums?
Coached by my moms. Smart guy. Coached by my moms. Now this is the last, penultimate. Common thing, you were not in the circuit yet, we were still watching earlier. Gabriela Sabatini,
Yes.
most beautiful woman ever
Absolutely,
played tennis. That every male knows about Gabriela Sabatini. Chris Evert-Lloyd, Steffi Graf, Gabriela Sabatini, Martina Navratilova, Amelie Morsimo. What's common between them? What's common?
Single hand.
Single hand backhand. Single hand backhand.
I thought you were going a little more. that was too obvious.
It's too obvious. Single handed backhand. They're all single hand backhand. Most of the women are double handed backhand. So I think Rohan is fully in good nick. And absolutely delight to get him to talk. So Rohan, now it's turn for us to know what made Rohan Bopanna the greatest Indian tennis champ, one of the greatest Indian athlete. Very difficult to be world number one, and before you and other players have been world number one, but you did it at that age and that dedication. So when did you know that in your life and your career that you're making it big? What was that inflection point in which Rohan Bopanna told himself that, look, tennis is there for me to stay, and tennis is what is going to put me in the world circuit, and I'll be whatever I became. So when was that point? Was it very early in your life, mid-course? When did you really look at the mirror and say, I'm there?
I think it was a journey which changed along the way. It was never really like when I started it that I'm going to be playing the Grand Slams. That was never it. I was not a great junior. I went to all the big academies in India. They said I was not good enough. Obviously disappointing when you go there and you don't get picked. Back then most of the academies had like a closed group. They never really opened it out to anyone. And finally, there was an academy in Pune. They said, we can't give you a scholarship, but they told my dad if he comes and pays for the fees, he can join there. And my dad said, okay, you need to go to Pune if you want to play tennis. And I was staying in Coorg the first 14 years of my life. And I said, yeah, I was actually very happy to leave home, to be honest. Being in Coorg with a couple of strict parents, I said, this is great. This is going to be freedom for me to, go there. And I went to Pune. First day, my dad takes me shopping and he said, he buys me a bicycle. And he said, this is your mode of transport. And I stayed in a hostel and it was about morning fitness, come back to the hostel, tennis in the morning, come back. It was about 14, 15 kilometers a day just to go up and down in Pune where I stayed. I was just a journey kid. I was just another kid playing on the 4th, 5th, 6th court. Nobody really cared. All the best players played on the 1 and 2 court. I think it worked in my favor, to be honest, because I was playing with the better players, not being noticed. So there was no pressure when a junior. I think that really helped, in my longevity, to be honest. I learned from a lot of these players, constantly seeing how they were playing tournaments, how I need to conduct myself. Thankfully I had great parents who, that upbringing taught me so many great things. So when I traveled with these tournaments, I had good players to be around, learn constantly with them. And then only at the age of 21, I ended up winning a national tournament in Chennai, where suddenly everybody's like, who is this player, Rohan Bopanna? I mean, nobody's even heard of him, seen him. But then I was 6'3", had a big serve, and that one tournament, everything fell in place. I didn't know how to hit a kick serve. Even in Pune, I was there 5 years, nobody taught me a kick serve. I came to Bangalore, Mahesh Bhupati's father taught me how to hit a kick serve. He made me hit 200 serves a day. And, he kept me after the session and he said, you have to hit this. He said, you're only good as a player if you have a great second serve, not a first serve. It's a great second serve. So I said, okay, I took that really seriously. And and once that fell into place, everything changed. I started winning matches just because I was confident in my second serve and I could hit the first serve faster, knowing that. And 2002, when I was 22 years old, I got into the Davis Cup team. And then, obviously everything started changing. But to be honest, only at the age of 30, I was playing with a friend of mine, Assam Qureshi from Pakistan. We were playing 3-4 years in the Challenger. Nobody even mentioned us. Nobody spoke about us. Yes, when we made the quarterfinals of Wimbledon and the US Open final that year, everybody asked why we were playing with each other. And for us, it was very normal because we were doing this for the past 4-5 years. And tennis is a very lonely tour. Where the better you get, the lonelier it gets because your peers always never travel with you to the same tournaments. The rankings are not always the same. So then we were at tournaments where, a lot of the South Americans hung out with each other, the Italians, Spanish, and we had one player from Pakistan, one player from India, and we had kind of similar interests with food at least. So we traveled to similar tournaments before playing doubles just so that we have some company and we share rooms, it covers costs because I think tennis and golf are the only two sports in India which is not funded by the federation. I believe that tennis players, as a tennis player, we are an entrepreneur from day one. We put in capital day in, day out, not knowing where this journey can go. There is no salary. There is only outflow, right? Coming from an agricultural background in Coorg, my dad doesn't know what it is. Today, even if you ask him, he said, if I knew it was going to cost me so much, maybe I wouldn't have put my son in tennis. So that is, it's a funny story, but then the minute I got to, the Davis Cup team, they threw a massive party in Coorg because my dad and mom's dream was for me to play for India one day. Everything else was, on top of that. So, of course, my goals changed as along the way. When I got to 30, I said, okay, I'll specialize in doubles. And then I hired a coach, hired a physio, even though I would love to have had it before, but I couldn't afford one before. So when I started doing well in doubles, there was some money coming back, so which I could invest in myself to go get a coach and, then a physio. And as I got older, I needed less of the coach, more of the physio. Because that's what I said, you can have the best coach in the world, but if you're physically not feeling great, even Rafa there on the side can't really help you so much. So yeah, those things change over the years. Of course, when you make that final, the next step is, okay, I can win the Grand Slam next year. Little did I know that it'll take me 13 years later to even make another final. Right? But the best part of that is, I had a great team by my side. Not only that, my wonderful wife who's sitting here, as you introduce psychology, indirectly I feel like there was some counseling there. Every time I spoke to her and, brought a few things, and it gave a great perspective. And for me, just sustaining myself, being relevant with those guys at that generation kept me going and was able to achieve, this Grand Slam and finding the right partner and able to do that. And that is how every single time it kind of changed. It was not just, I definitely would be wrong to say that I woke up, started tennis and I said, I'm going to win a Grand Slam and, become world number one. That is not the case, especially coming from Kur.
That's excellent life journey and great. At the end of it all, we world witnessed Rohan Bopanna.
Yes, thank you.
Thank parents, thank wife, and thank yourself. Like the current Russian tennis lady girl, Mira says, Mira Andreeva. She first thanks herself.
Yeah.
First thanks herself, then thanks her coach. So first you have to thank yourself for doing all the right things. Now my big question, all of them will obviously have this, is the cool quotient of Rohan Bopanna. He's never broken the rackets, never abused the umpire, never hit the ball to the lines boy. And, cool guy, always smiling. I've seen him in the venues also, in Dubai and, many places I go to watch his matches too. He's a very cool guy. Now, tennis or any sport is, according to the experts, and not me, 60% may be talent, 40% is temperament. You need to be cool, especially tennis. Tennis is the only sport in the world which doesn't start on the time that has been specified that it will start. Because the previous match, it'll always say followed by. We watching the television, we get impatient. When is our match coming in? These guys are waiting. You don't know whether they'll go to the treadmill or they will still be stretching or they'll go and have a food or a snack. Nervousness builds around that time. If you watched Nadal's Netflix, he in one tournament goes to toilet 12 times before the start. And Carlos Moyo asks, why in this tournament you only went 5? He says the toilet, the water is not coming anymore. So they're nervous. But Rohan is a different guy. How did you manage that? Before psychologists came in your life, there's somebody else came in as well. What did you do that?
No, I felt, yes, there are times, of course, you feel very frustrated, especially with your own self, with the way you're playing, and few things. When you're not playing well, always the line calls against you. That's what you feel, especially on a hard court. Even though, the referees could be right. And I said, there is no point taking that frustration to them. At the end of the day, it's not really going to help. If I want to take out all the frustration, I can go outside the court, go and close doors and say whatever I want. And also, having said that, there's a lot of fine if you end up breaking a racket or abusing on court. And at that point of time, I'm just trying to manage the journey. I don't think I was ready to afford some fines on the court. So there were a lot of things you need to think through. Coming in that journey. So that kind of helped me a lot in terms of understanding. Okay, I rather hit a serve little bit 20 kilometers harder and take that frustration on that ball than somebody out there, and that actually helped me quite significantly.
Tremendous. When you've been always reputationally known to be a cool customer, both on court and off the field. I believe people complain to you if the coffee is not good in whichever tournament, independent of the fact whether you were giving freebies or not. So how did you manage relationships off court at the highest level of tennis? If anybody, even in so many interviews we hear the biggies of the tennis world talk, moment they say India, they say Rohan Bopanna. Of course, India has witnessed great tennis players, but you are on the top of the radar of all of these greats, and you I think have made a great mark. So what is your, I mean, do you deliberately go out, reach out to great players and be heard? Or they come to you because you have a boom boom serve and they want your support? And have you deliberately done relationship building, Rohan?
Yes, I actually have constantly found a way to go into locker rooms and be social with the players. You know, I felt if I have to tomorrow play with somebody doubles, I had to be comfortable with them off the court first. And that relationship I built significantly. Yes, coffee kind of helped coming from Coorg and starting my own coffee blend, and I gave a lot of coffee to all the tennis players. Hence that, comment came from them whenever the coffee was bad, because they never thought India actually produced coffee. And I said, let's take coffee beans to these tennis players. It's one way we get to know at least India produces coffee, and they all have. I think 70-80% of the people, have coffee. At least in the men's locker room, I would say 80% of them have tried, Karnataka's coffee beans. That's for sure. And I said this is a great platform for me to kind of build. And it helped me tremendously communicating with them, trying to be a great friend with them, and we all go on that same journey week in, week out. The calendar is already kind of set from January to November. So I think I told myself very early, it's better to have friends than enemies in the same locker room. So, so that made it much easier, for me to get along with each and every one. And anytime, I wanted to find a partner and I was struggling with the partner, I could go up and reach out to them, and a lot of them were very happy to, play doubles. And I think that's the biggest strength which I picked up on the tennis court.
I have only two more questions, and then the audience. Is that the right thing to do? So, when you set up this academy and started to train kids, absolutely noble, Rohan. What you're doing now will have far more impact than India having produced a great athlete called Rohan Bopanna. It actually amplifies whatever you've done and then what you could do now. So again, when did you say, I need to give it back to the sport which made me what I am, a world champion? And how did you think of training people, quote unquote, underprivileged, make them come here along with everybody else? And I know what you're doing in that space. So what is happening there, and what will India see from that academy?
Yeah, I built, and as I know a lot of you all walked through today, see the tennis courts here. There are a lot of kids playing. We built the Rohan Bopanna Tennis Academy 10 years ago. One of the reasons I wanted to build it that early while I was playing is that I would have access to the coaches and the players firsthand straight away. Today when I'm retired, you're constantly then trying to message somebody and then you feel obligated, maybe you're disturbing them. This was much easier for me. I mean, a lot of the coaches were there. I could sit with them for a cup of coffee, pick their brains on what we could do and how we could build it. And it's been a fantastic journey. And from the time after I retired, last April, we moved here at the Center of Sports Excellence. I think it's the best center in the country today, and to be here, it's a great space for us. The underprivileged program, thankfully a dear friend of mine, he said he wanted to support tennis, and through the Kamal India Foundation, and he said, I would love for you to set a program for the underprivileged. So 2 years ago we actually went to Assam. We went to two tribes called the Majuli and Bongaigaon tribes, and we just on athletic ability, we tested about 400 kids. We picked up 27 of them. We brought them to Bangalore, and we provide boarding, lodging, education, and tennis. Last year, we went to Jammu and Srinagar, and we picked up 10 more. And the next 3 years, which the plan is to get to about 100 kids, 100 underprivileged kids from different parts of the country. And I want to unite them with tennis. I want different states to be in one place, uniting them with tennis, because underprivileged kids is never given an opportunity for an individual sport. I've never seen that before. They give them for education or just for a sport, but not all put together. And this has been really incredible. I mean, it's for us, I think it's been a lot of learnings. I mean, for the kids to go to school every day, when they came here from Assam, among themselves, they spoke in 7 different dialects. Today they speak Kannada, they speak English. They are so confident. I mean, they came to watch the Davis Cup and Fed Cup, and their first thing is, "Sir, hum bhi ek din khelenge yahan." The drive is just incredible. It's heartwarming to be around them. There's a great energy every single day for even the coaches. For our coaches today, they don't come up to us to be saying that, we need a salary increase automatically, because they see these kids, they see how much they are giving back to their kids. They also see that there's so much value to them. So the entire team is, really overwhelmed with this journey, and we're really looking forward to picking up more kids. And, I keep picking Vivek's brains on how we could build more things here, because if we are getting more kids and, the tennis is getting built here, I think it's a great sport. It teaches failure from a very young age, teaches you to find solutions on the court straight away, so that you can always, adapt to your natural day-to-day life, and it makes you independent. And I think there is no better sport, to be playing. And for these kids, it's been phenomenal. And they go twice a year. We send them home twice a year. Their parents come here. A couple of the kids don't even have parents, and they go back to an orphanage. I wish I could change that maybe, but they're so young. So sometimes I think, what could be, the better angle to that, and how we could work towards that. Yeah, but it's been incredible. Thankfully, I have a great team, managing so many different things. I'm also doing an MBA in sport marketing currently from the La Liga Business School in Madrid, because I thought, why not, pick their brains to understand how they have built football for such a long period of time. And, maybe in this way I get a diploma to maybe build tennis. And, thankfully, Suresh sir has been helping us, part of the foundation. And this is what, I feel. I think sports or sportsmen, athletes all deserve an opportunity. And we always look at it, my wife told me this, don't look at it as, a limitation. Whatever age you may be at, you look at it as an opportunity. Right? We have always told at our homes that 25 this has to happen, 30 this has to happen. You need to get married at 30, you need to have kids at 32, you need to, so this has been told to us constantly. So if we change the narrative of saying today we have this opportunity to give back to the sport, I mean, tennis has taught me such amazing things. So I said, why not give it back to, these kids? And one of the reasons I came here to this center was because when I was growing up, 14, 15 kilometers a day on bicycle would have never happened if I had a center like this. Yeah. This is what we have. We have everything under one roof. We even have a psychology team for these underprivileged kids, because I think it's absolutely necessary, for so many difficulties they've been through. And so this has been a real passion for me, apart from just teaching the pros to become champion. Also an underprivileged journey where, who knows, maybe they take tennis to a scholarship in the US, or maybe turn pro. I mean, that'll be absolutely incredible. And that's the small journey we have started from tennis.
I'm really happy to be associated with this academy. It's most fulfilling than doing my executive work or investment platform that I run. This has been very fulfilling because of the love for tennis and love for Rohan Bopanna is really uninhibited in our thought process on what we can contribute. Some more thoughts, Rohan. I had asked this question actually to Sachin Tendulkar. Okay, I had asked him, look, you're walking down the ramp in, say, Melbourne Cricket Ground, and you have to face McGraw and Brett Lee on the other side. Okay, After maybe 30, 40 minutes, if you've survived, then comes some Gillespie and then Shane Warne before lunch. Are you nervous? Would you feel that there is some cold shiver in your spine? Will you get nervous? Will you sleep the previous night? Now, similarly, if you have to face Brian, I'm sure you did, right? Or the doubles, Mike and Bob, and so many big players. Even your win, when you became world number one, those people were ranked higher than you, whatever those names were.
Bolali Vavasore.
Bolali Vavasore, yeah, and they were ranked higher. So, so would you be nervous, or what would you sleep the previous night, or will those shots keep getting replayed? Will you keep saying, oh, I need to stand a little bit on the left side of the net, or more tandem, or I'll serve this side, that side? Will you pre-plan, or everything is playing out at the spur of the moment when you're really in the court?
First thing, never till today, thankfully, touch wood, I have problem to sleep.
Very nice.
You know, so my wife keeps saying, how is this possible? I mean, 3 minutes maximum, I'm completely out. So that actually helped in many ways. Yes, when I played the Bryans for the first time, I was kind of nervous. Or, when I played Roger Federer for the first time. But after that onwards, I was like, I am playing the same tour. I'm there to compete and I belong here. And the minute I used that narrative, I knew that they were also going to have a tough match against me. They had to bring the A game in order to, win that match on that day. And tennis, the beauty of it is anybody could, win at any given time. And I really believed in my serve and my aggressive style of play, and that really put a lot of pressure in no matter who I played against there.
Yeah, that's exactly what Sachin said. Interesting, I always recall exactly what he says. I play for India. So he was trying to tell me, the questioning guy, that I'm playing for India. I'm ahead of millions of aspirants who wanted to play for India. Am I nervous, or should he be nervous? So when I walk down, I look at the sun, look at the field placing, practice some shadow shots, go and tap, and when I look, McGrath should think, whoa, what this fellow will do today. He should be a bit nervous. And after one or two shots, when I get in the middle of the bat, then he is nervous. Then I look at Warne. I look at virtually asking him, when are you going to come? So Sachin really reoriented. If at all, when in my small profession, if I write a book, Sachin told at the end, it's never about you. Never think about you. You are already the top guy. You're playing for the country. You're playing your own Bopanna. You're not thinking about your own weakness. You're thinking about the other guy's limitations, even if that fellow is a great player. Ron, is that summarizing?
Yeah, absolutely right. I mean, in
consulting version of what you want to say.
for example, in the Australian Open final, I knew it was Vavasore's final. Even though Bolelli had won a Grand Slam, Vavasore is making the final for the first time. I had not won a Grand Slam, but I had been in a final before. So I looked at it more, say, not about them being seeded higher. I was like, Matthew and myself were more experienced on that day. And I think we were more ready to win on that day.
Yeah, brilliant. Last question, and then I'll throw it open to the audience. So who's your pick? Rafa, Novak, or Roger? And you need to pick one.
I mean, if you wearing that cap, it's tough to pick anything else. No, I think it's, for me, Roger Federer, because of single-handed backhand, that's something, I loved. But I think if I had to say who's the best among there is Novak, without a doubt. Yeah, but yeah.
You're diplomatic. So I'm glad that I had this another opportunity to interact with him. It's never over. You call me middle of the night, I'll come and see Rohan Bopanna. That's the nature of the beast that we are sitting with. I would stop here and let my fellow colleagues to chat with him. He's informal. You can ask him anything on his. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, you actually took my first question, which I got the answer to. Thank you. Second question was more around I would say the drive to succeed, right? And especially given following Novak Djokovic along the years, when some of the folks look at age as a limitation, right? Some folks keep pushing and pushing. And like you rightly went to Davis Cup, then you set your goalpost again, right? So goalposts keep on moving. So at what stage, how do you keep that drive to succeed, to survive going, right? And at what stage do you call it quits, right? Because 43, Normally, other people would have said, why should I keep going, right? And especially if it's a very physical game, tennis, right? It takes toll on your body. So what was your drive all along the way?
I mean, firstly, for me, the biggest thing was that I was still relevant and playing at the highest level. It was not like I was not winning matches there or winning any tournaments. Yes, I hadn't won the Grand Slam, but that was the drive. At the Grand Slam, how can I do well? And, even when before we won that, we had made semi-finals of Wimbledon, finals of US Open, and then I ended up winning the Australian Open. So it was kind of that, journey, and that belief came back again to say, okay, yes, I've made a final for 13 years later. I have a great partner by my side. Let me, take that belief, to Australian Open. And, for us coming from Asia, I think that is kind of a home slam. So, yeah, those short goals, keeping that in mind, I said it's not about winning the 250 or the Masters. My goal was to, really perform well at the Grand Slam.
How do you pick your partner? Because you've had some very interesting people, from Shapo to Essam to Matthew. What's the magic? How do you figure out, this is the person that I want to play with? Because you should be playing for some time in order to get that chemistry right?
Yeah, firstly, to get along with that person, off the court. And this second thing was how that player will actually help me on the court. As I was getting older, I was not so quick. So I said, okay, let me pick some players who are extremely quick, which will cover that angle. And I will bring my experience to, help him, in that journey. And so those things actually made it much easier for me picking, the partners. And it was always never a yes automatically from players. But yeah, especially singles guys, because in Grand Slams they didn't really want to play because it was 5 sets, but other events they were happy to kind of play doubles with.
So who said no to you?
I mean, there's plenty of players. I mean, especially when you're, the funny thing is when they say no is when your ranking is low. Because in tennis, I don't know if you know the structure. Say if it's a draw of 32, the top 32 combined rankings get into the draw. So if I had a high ranking, everybody wants to play with you because they want to get into the draw. If my ranking had dropped, then it was kind of harder to, say, and then you'd get the no. Yeah.
Thank you. So, Rohan, why do you think in last 2 decades the facilities has become much better in India? But why we don't have anybody who are like 18 years, 20 years old and players like you or Mahesh or Leander Pace? Why we have not been able to produce in the country like that?
I mean, firstly, it's amazing that,
just by chance. It is.
Firstly, it's amazing that the infrastructure is improving. The government is supporting a lot of sport. In tennis pure say, it is whoever has done it so far have done it on their own. The system has never really brought these guys to there. We have not created a structure at all. And especially at 18, 19, 20 onwards, like I said, you have to put in a lot of capital to continue that journey. Right? We wouldn't have badminton players or cricket players if it was similar structure to tennis. Right? Today, India is playing the World Cup in England. Indian women's are playing. The players are not funding themselves. I'm going to Wimbledon, I'm funding myself. Right? There's a big difference in terms of, I'm saying the mindset when you're starting this journey. At the age of 18, you need 40-50 lakhs to just start your journey for a year, not knowing where that is headed. And if that is already covered by a federation or covered by a government, you're just focusing on tennis, so, and then more so as a tennis player, back then you are thinking, where do I go get my visa? It's now Schengen. Every European country needed a visa. I need to get my visa first, all the logistic first. Tennis was the easiest part, to be honest. Nobody is doing that for you. Right? So all these things are part of the journey before you even think of playing. Forget affording a coach. I mean, now all these, top athletes, a coach is with them, traveling with them. Not funded by the player, funded by the federation or the sponsor or the coach. And that we don't have at tennis at all. So it will take a long time, before we even get to that in terms of tennis.
Yeah, but my question was that the facilities have become much better. And the average net worth of people, middle class income has grown substantially from the days when you were, 10-year or 8-year or Mahesh Bhupati or Leander Paes. I just keep thinking sometimes about it, that why we are not able to produce when our facilities, the governments, everything has become much better than 80s and 90s. Is it because that cricket is taking a lot of pie out of it, more so because of IPL in last 18-20 years, that anybody can go with a bat of 500 or 200 rupees and start playing, and or maybe the major success in it? What is causing the vacuum of last 20 years in tennis, 25 years I would say?
We need the exact same structure in the tennis, what we have in cricket. We need 1,000 academies, the coaches everywhere. Every city needs to have a facility like this. Forget even in a state. Every small city needs to minimum have something like this. I mean, I'm talking about one facility in the entire country. Right? It's extremely difficult for, for somebody to really come up. We have to have coaches education. We don't have coaches education. Most of the education we've had here in tennis, they get their certificate. So when they come to our academy after the coaches and we tell them, okay, let's see what you have, they're like, sir, I've done the certificate, but I've never had students to work with, so I have no practice. So the coaches education is the key aspect for this growth, first and foremost, before even making any players. I think we need the right coaches, and that's what cricket has really built. I mean, it's got some fantastic coaches across. Every state has a beautiful stadium, beautiful facility, and that is what is going to make that journey even start.
Thank you very much.
Badminton came much later in India than, tennis, the players like you. But badminton today has all the facilities and everything else. So where did we falter in tennis? Is that the Leander Paes of the world did not really push it forward, or was the government too very inclined towards badminton? Because the nature of sports is similar. I guess the expenses are also similar. The courts are similar.
Yeah, but the expenses are not covered by the players.
Yeah, but
To start with, I'm just saying, we won't have a badminton player if he's funding his own travel.
Yeah,
because there's no prize money in badminton too, compared to tennis.
Okay.
If it was similar, like what you're saying, to tennis, a badminton player would not be going to All England, saying no prize money also, barely any prize money. So if you look at Lakshya Sen, who did such an amazing effort, for that effort he should have been getting a ridiculous amount of prize money for that effort he has put in. But the badminton prize money is so low compared to All England or Wimbledon. If you make a final of a Wimbledon and a final of a All England badminton, right? There's a big difference in that. So in terms of that, that is exactly what I'm saying. We need the similar structure to help tennis players when they travel. Today we have a tennis player who's India #1, Vaishnavi Adkar. She plays here with us. I found a coach and a physio to travel with her and fund for her, because she can't afford it. That shouldn't be coming from me. It should be coming from the federation who's doing it. She's, after all, India's #1 tennis player.
And the federation has no plans to kind of
Not
do
yet.
this?
Not yet.
Okay.
Maybe they're going into elections in 3-4 months, so maybe there's an opportunity there for somebody really to make that change, and that's needed. I think tennis is such a global sport. There is a big opportunity for change, and this is what we need. It has shown us, cricket, badminton, hockey has shown that if you create a good structure, we can produce athletes. We've had athletes, we've lost a lot of talented athletes only because there's no structure. It's not because we don't have, players who have, there, because we have many juniors who have represented India in the Grand Slams, but unable to, move on to the seniors only because they're unable to afford that.
Yeah. One more question, Rohan. So, how do you guys decide whether you should choose a career in doubles or singles? Is it largely to do with that, okay, in singles you'll have to fight with the Novaks of the world and doubles is maybe easier, or is it because of the physical strength of what it takes for a doubles versus singles? What goes behind the mind when you decide whether you want to build a career in singles or doubles?
I would definitely say no for anybody who wants to start a doubles career. It's much harder. It's much harder than a singles career because the draw size is very small. The elite is only 30, 40 players. who are even making money out of that, if they want to make a career. I chose it because at that point of time, my doubles ranking was much higher than my singles. So I said, okay, I want to continue playing this sport and, do that. But I would definitely say play singles as long as possible, because that is the way journey. The Master Series also making bigger draws. There's a great pathway to kind of get into that journey and get into the Grand Slams. And that only comes later in your career. Like I said, only at 30, I decided to become a full-time doubles player. The other option was to stop tennis and not play tennis at all. So even the guys who are playing doubles, it is only later in the career. It's not, very rarely you have 21, 22-year-olds kind of, making a transition to full-time doubles.
Thank you.
Just on that point, we are focusing on the doubles dream of India, right? That's being sponsored. So do you think that is actually the right approach, or should we be looking at developing the singles players more than the doubles dream?
I mean, that again is come from me.
No, I know.
It's only come because I said, let's help who's there today. We are only looking at singles players, forgetting these guys. I said, let's focus on the guys who we have and then look at an option in terms of, but then again, singles guys, if I have to do, I have to get one coach for each guy. That becomes so much more of a cost, because it's tough for them to kind of share a coach because they're playing different circuits. Doubles, it's much easier when they're playing these tournaments. It's very similar, so it's kind of, so there are 3 coaches and 2 physios kind of funded for that, program for doubles. But yes, absolutely. Again, it's coming from a private academy than, from a federation, which this is what we need. So we do have these players. They're doing amazing. We just, need, the right pathway.
Yeah. So, growing up, did you have Indian tennis idols whom you felt and they did great, and normally you have followers? That's the first question. The second question is that, unlike cricket and other popular games in India, I would say popular because it is mostly played everywhere, we often get so much of information about who likes whom, who doesn't like whom, and if they are getting along well or they are working together on something else. We don't get to hear much about the ex-players and the current players of tennis. So how does this entire ecosystem work? Because I understand that it's individual sport and you all have funded and made it big, but is there a chemistry there as well? So these are 2 questions I have.
Of course, like any sport or any company or everything, you get along with somebody, you don't get along with somebody. I've always told Leander and Mahesh, I wish they could find their differences in a better way. Maybe tennis would have helped, especially for me coming, in there. I'll share you all, a great story. I remember my first time I was at Davis Cup. They were having their differences, back then. So I walk in for breakfast. First time being in the Davis Cup team, and Leander sitting in this table, Mahesh is sitting in that table. I'm thinking now to myself, where do I sit? Where do I sit? I think it must have been the slowest buffet breakfast to see what I was going to put in my plate, and I was still, it was, because I said, should I sit with one of them? Should I sit in the third table? What do I do here? I mean, thankfully, by the time I reached the last dish, Leander happened to leave, and then it was easy. Then I just sat at Mahesh, and think. But yeah, it's, everybody, have their differences. Like you said, you never know. I mean, we're all at the end of the day competing against each other, right? At the end, you are trying to be the best, in that sport. And in terms of tennis, I think Leander was phenomenal when he played Davis Cup, especially. I mean, that energy he brought in there, no matter who was there, he was just incredible. I mean, whatever you take him outside the court, when he stepped on that court and he said he was representing India and playing for India, he was there 200%. And that was something to really learn from. And to watch it live, being on court side for many years in the team, I think was incredible. His game style never matched up with mine, because I always liked players who kind of hit hard, and all my success came with partners like that. And so hence I actually performed better with Mahesh on the circuit. But yeah, it was amazing to actually have them before me, So when I had that doubles kind of to learn, what are the tournaments to play, how I can go about it, and, talk to their coaches, get some insights, I would say free coaching, practice with them and get some insights from them. And then, it actually helped, having them, along my journey as well.
Thank you.
So in sports, particularly in tennis, we talk a lot about the physical aspect of the game, right? How quick you are, how hard you can hit the ball. But there is a lot of mental aspect, the psychological aspect, especially around, how do you keep yourself composed, calm, and come out after 5-0 and still win the set. So just wanted to get your perspective on the mental aspect of the game as well.
I think it's extremely important, to have, firstly, your own belief on when you step on that court, because every time, exactly what you said, when you file out down, there are a lot of things running through your head, thinking maybe it's easy to blame your partner when you're playing doubles, saying, okay, I wish he could have hit that volley better. But, thankfully, my wife taught me, again, a great point is to communicate. The more you communicate, it kind of actually helps these ideas. We were 5-love down in the Grand Slam first round, which we won in the Australian Open. In the very first round, we were playing two Australians and we were 5-love down literally in 16, 17 minutes. But we ended up winning that set, came back to win that set. But you need to just, even though, yes, we have taught constantly to say, play the moment, play the point. There are, times, but that's when you go back to your preparation on what you have kind of learned and try and apply on the tennis court. You can't really change that much suddenly on the tennis court, and it helps, when you get good advice. And having that coach, my coach Scott Davidoff has been with me for 15, 16 years. So when he sees that and he sees you, he understands you're going through certain things, and he was great on communicating just small things, and that would really stay and, make a big difference on what I could bring on the table. But yes, the mind had to really believe, in what I could do or what I could achieve, especially when I had lost all my cartilage in my knees in 2019, and during the COVID time, I said, okay, I'm going to start Iyengar yoga. And that is where my mind said, okay, let's try something new. I always thought yoga was boring, to be honest, and it was too slow. But then I said, okay, for my condition, I'm going to give it a shot. Let's see how it goes. And it worked incredibly well on my favor. And I told all the tennis players, it worked for me. I'm not vouching, saying that yoga is the one what you should do. But, you should have an open mind to say it's never late. It's never late to try something new. I was 40 years old when I started Iyengar yoga, and that actually helped me calm down on the tennis court. No matter what situation, I felt the yoga eventually helped me see the ball much clearer. I felt like I had too much time, I had too many options. So that was, I think that never happened when I was a youngster. And, even though I lived in Pune, I wish I could start Iyengar yoga, but at the age of 14, 15, I was nowhere going to a yoga class. And, that's why thing to my teacher also, I wish we could find a fun way to start teaching yoga to young kids. And, it really, over the past 5-6 years, my mental strength has absolutely, changed from, I would say, 10 years ago to what it is today. It helped me believe so much more, and hence I got a lot more success in this part of my career.
Yeah, hi Rohan, and lovely meeting you again. Thanks to Suresh that he does a lot of work with you, so we get an opportunity to meet you every now and then. And many congratulations on what you're doing with the underprivileged kids. I think that's really commendable. My question was on the diversity. I think Suresh touched on that question, but I want to again talk to you on that. Apart from bonding with Matthew or Qureshi with a cup of coffee, what else were the challenges that you faced, and how did you overcome that? Not only them, anybody that you had to build a bond.
To be honest, coming from Coorg with so many less opportunities there, I felt everything was an amazing journey. I felt, this is a great place to be, great facility, great courts, easy way to travel. I didn't look at it like saying, oh, you know what, I'm stuck here. The flight is late. Now what do? I said, I'm here still competing, playing against the best players in the world. and this is what I wanted to do. And everybody said, okay, at 40 now it's time to retire. But I'm like, I started this journey to play at the highest level. So when I am at the highest level, why is everybody asking me to stop? Right? I mean, so this is something I enjoyed no matter what the situation is. Yes, matches were tough, but every evening I went out to the city as a family, we traveled, we enjoyed trying different cuisines. Our daughter's 7 years old today, and I was lucky that she could watch my matches, playing live matches, and I never thought that she would ever be there watching live matches. Today, her favorite moment is Australian Open. She wants to constantly watch, not the match, the trophy presentation, to be honest. But I mean, it's, that's an incredible thing. And it's, I felt, I built also some great friends across the world. I call them once a year kind of family. That is what I miss today since I've retired. Suddenly that life has completely gone away. The friends we've made over the years in all these cities, at least I used to get to spend time, now I have to actually make a plan to kind of go and, meet them. I don't miss the locker room. I don't miss the stretching. I don't miss the cool down. I don't miss, anything of that. But yeah, this is, I can go to about 50, 60 countries, just ask one of the players where to go to in the countries which is non-tourist. And this is kind of a great friendship I've built and a great networking space also through tennis which I've built, and it's phenomenal.
Another compliment to give it to you is I also happen to meet your kids that you coach. And last time they said that you actually take them to every place that you go and take them to the best of the restaurants and the hotels and make them no more feel underprivileged but more privileged. So I think that's good.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thanks.
So, though it's maybe an unfair question, but I wanted to understand from you what differentiates a badminton player and with a tennis player, or vice versa.
Sport?
Yeah, in badminton. How would you choose? You said that you are working with underprivileged children, and really thankful to you because actually I could not follow that and we never knew about it. But how, if you are choosing, suppose though you are a tennis player, but what differentiates a player who can be better in badminton versus tennis?
I think these underprivileged kids, we can't really spot their talent because we're just picking them on athletic ability. We're not picking them up on any sport-related.
In general, I'm saying, like maybe.
I mean, the hand-eye coordination is, obviously it makes a difference, but the movement, the athletic ability is what we're looking at because tennis is a lot more movement, sideways movement, and forward, and not only forward and back. I mean, so we are based pretty much on that. I mean, and then we didn't even realize on whether they will pick up tennis because when we give them the tennis racket first time, most of the times they're just missing the ball completely. That doesn't happen. And we said, okay, let's take a chance. It was absolutely, wild idea which came across, and we said we'll give a chance to them. And it's, to be honest, it's been incredible. And there's no right answer to at that age to really tell whether they'll be good at badminton or whether they'll be good at any other sport or tennis. For us, it's giving an opportunity to these kids. And today in Majuli and Bongaigaon, people know about tennis. Yes. They would have never even thought that tennis as a sport even exists. And so that's something I'm trying to create.
Thank you very much, Rohan.
Welcome.
Rohan, it was like seeing you play and not seeing you talk. You relived the Rohan Bopanna magic. I mean, I watched him, I think, like nuts every match, maybe. So this is like Rohan Bopanna unplugged, and we could get an insight. Hopefully all of us will carry all the great memories of having the chat with him today. My last question is he going to come back? Serena Williams is going to come back. Roger Federer is playing veterans in US. Serena Williams is playing US. So maybe for all you know, the fire in him may not get dozed off at all. He might turn up and play another ATP and re-rank himself.
I'm definitely not getting there. That's for sure. And it's amazing to see Serena back. It's brilliant. It's amazing to stop and then come back and to do it, and I'm definitely not doing that at all. I think I've called it a day, and I'm enjoying my time living out of a cupboard. I've lived my entire journey with a suitcase. I'm happy, to doing part of the cupboard life now, and I'll share with you guys some of brochures about our academy, which y'all can go through, and who knows, maybe one day you'll be part of the Rohan Bopanna Tennis Academy journey as well. So thank you.
Yeah, brilliant. Thank you very much, Rohan, and thank you, Anika, for a wonderful platform. And over to you.
Thank you, Rohan. Thank you, Suresh. It was an absolute delight, and what a way to start and a way to end. About the rapid fire that we had, I think the answers were much sharper than we deserved, and by my count, I think the scoring was quite generous. So thank you so much. Yes. But on a serious note, I think the last 90 minutes have done what some of the best ILC sessions to take the conversation somewhere that usually does not happen on a public stage. Rohan, and if I may say so, what struck me about what you have shared today is that how unromantic, in a way, your own account of your career has been, quite matter-of-factly. When great athletes, when they look back and reflect on their careers, the language that we have often seen is of passion, of instinct. In you, we found the passion of, or the language of choice, the choice that you made in how you train, who you partner with, when do you let go, when do you rethink the game. So in a career that the world has seen as remarkable, actually it has been quite deliberate, and I think that is also that is a takeaway for those in the room as well, because I think that's a lesson that equally applies. That's a radical idea that equally applies to businesses as well. So thank you so much. And now a quick round of thank you for everyone involved in making this evening possible, to the CSC team for the venue, for the hospitality, for the warmth, to Ramarao Suresh for bringing a rare combination of friendship and intelligence both. Rohan for 2 decades of career that we all have watched with great admiration. Supriya for being that quiet strength behind the man that we know as a player. Thank you so much. Now may I please request Ramarao Suresh to present a token of gratitude to Rohan Bopanna. Thank you. Now may I please request my colleague Anjali Mittal to present token of appreciation to Mr. Ramarao Suresh. I think apart from the lessons and takeaways from this room, we have a small surprise and a memento for all of you as well, as a remembrance of this evening that actually won't need much help remembering with. Thank you so much, Rohan. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you, Ron. May I now also request everyone to gather for a quick group photograph.